Hello and welcome to Cable Plus Property, your #1 online educative platform on all issues related to land and landed property. My name is Oiza. At Cable Plus Property, our aim is to ensure that all Nigerians and non-Nigerians have at the tip of their finger every information related to land acquisition, land procurement, building construction, planning, documentation and registration of land and landed property. We provide you with everything you need to know about getting your property registered and obtaining your planning permit. In this video, I'll be speaking with a veteran, someone you call a learned professional, a past president of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, no other than town planner Dr. Olubunmi Àjàyí. Come with me. You mentioned earlier the land use planning analysis report. So
yes,
I'd like us to talk about that and yes, the physical planning technical report. Are there any differences or similarities?
If you followed my line of thought, you see, me, I'm town planner Olubunmi Àjàyí. That's my name. There are some things I tell you as town planner Olubunmi Àjàyí, and that's my view. The LUPA, as far as town planner Olubunmi Àjàyí is concerned, to me, is a pre-investment report. That should be its purpose. If once it loses that purpose, then why are they doing it? Because we still don't have a physical planning technical report. So let me tell you the difference. As far as planner Olubunmi Àjàyí is concerned, the LUPA is a pre-investment report. That is before you even make up your mind whether you even want to buy that land at all. Because your investment starts the moment you buy that land, not until you build a house on it. So you want to guide this man. He looks at it to help you look at the place. Write you a report you can take to a board of who wants to lend you money. That should be the purpose of a LUPA report. When you have now made up your mind, you have bought the land, you have engaged the architect, you have engaged the engineer, and then I'll say, okay, we now need a physical planning technical report to describe what you have decided to build. That's a physical planning technical report. I don't know whether you are understanding me. So the physical planning technical report is talking about that project. It has become a project at that level. But the LUPA is before you even take any decision. Before it becomes a project, you have LUPA. After it has become a project, you have the physical planning technical report.
Why is the physical planning technical report important?
It's very important because now you have decided, okay, I'm going to build a school here, for example. Now, what are the implications? You are going to generate traffic in the area. So you want to look at the traffic implication of your decision. Because it's your private investment, you're going to make all the money in your pocket, but you're going to create problem for everybody on the road. You must look at it, and we must ask you, if you realize you're going to create a problem, you must give us your plans to deal with that. Then we must know that you are obeying all the town planning rules. Did you maintain adequate setbacks? Are your rooms big enough for classrooms? Right? So the whole exercise is like an evaluation of what you want to do. Does it conform with the planning laws and regulations? And if not, we say no, go and do this, go and do this, go and correct it so that you'll be in conformity with the planning laws and regulations. So it's a must, because it now tells us that this project you want to do, how does it impact on the environment? How does it impact on the other people that are around you?
Okay. The city as a living organism dies and decays, and I like the fact that you've talked about the major cities we have in Nigeria, Lagos, Abuja, and some other cities like that. So how can planning activities save the city from dying?
What have we been talking all day? You see, unfortunately, the Nigerians are not planning their cities. Are you not hearing me? They are not.
So it's bound to die.
No, it's going to be inefficient. It cannot be better than what we have. We are going to continue this rot in our cities because we are not planning them.
So what
they may not die in terms of physical death in that sense, But when the city starts not performing its role, it's dead.
So how do we salvage? How do we save the situation now?
Let Nigerians rise up and go to court and stop all this government from collecting money from them and this development control. Let people rise up, go to court, get an injunction that they cannot do development control if they don't have master plans. Then they will do that. Because if you see, if individuals cannot, I mean, you see, if you want to go through what normal process do you want to go? In actual fact, NITP is 5 feet. I'm very sorry to say this, but I think NITP has been very shy about this matter. They are the people that know. They know that once you don't have a master plan for a city, you should not have a different. What are you controlling? So the NITP ought to have been the one that will have gone to court to say
on behalf of the people.
On behalf of the people. But if the NITP is not going, I am now telling the people through this medium that they should go to court. Even if you have some lawyers who are interested, I will be I will give them service free to be a specialist witness in court against all these governments. I will be ready to be a specialist witness in court to say they cannot have development control departments. They cannot do any development control if they don't have a master plan.
So don't you think that is
it's what?
It's too fast forward a process?
It's not too fast forward. Well, you see, if you have followed the rate of growth of urbanization in Nigeria, you will not say what you are saying. You see, I remember when I was in University of Ibadan, those good old days. There's one Professor Olatubosun. He used to ride one Ford Mustang, I remember, short man like this. He wrote a book, Nigeria's Neglected Rural Majority. I said, if I see Professor Olubunmi here today, Olatubosun, I will ask him, what will you write today? Nigeria's Neglected Urban Majority.
Okay, moving on. Knowing fully well that planning activities are influenced by government policies.
Yes.
So for the sake of young planners, how do proposals for projects, conceived, initiated, and written, how can they do all of that to secure government approvals? You
see, to secure planning permit. I don't want, you see, if that global government's permit, I would rather limit myself to planning permit.
Okay. Because
I know in this country, the bigger the project, the more the governor's office, everybody is interested, either to sabotage or to be part of, to make some things out of it. But I will talk about planning permit. You see, I will not. You see, when they do it well, I say it, they do it well. When they don't do it well, I say it. Lagos State is trying. I'll give it to them. At least Lagos State now has a regulation which you can go and buy and study it and comply with. Go to all those states. They don't even have a planning regulation which anybody can hand over to you like this. Their planning regulations in their drawer. So when they want to benefit you,
they bring it down.
When they don't want to benefit, they say it doesn't exist. Is that how to run a nation? When you have not guided the people that this is right, this is wrong, this is what you are supposed to do, and it's deliberate. Because if they tell you all the fact that 6 meters in front, 3 meters in, and meet this, and you have access to those information, I mean, they think if 50% of the people are lawless, no government can govern a nation. Even if 20% of the people of a nation are lawless, no government can govern that nation. So the people who are lawless are always in the rank of 2%, 1% of the population, at most 5, that are lawless. But you see, you are now, by act of omission or commission, you now try to make Nigerians lawless because you yourself are not lawful. You don't have a regulation that tells me this is what I have to do. When I now do what I think is right, you now turn around and say I'm lawless. Who was lawless first? It's government that was lawless first, but by not having a regulation, but I give it to Lagos State. At least there might be flaws, I might disagree with some clauses, but they have a regulation. And I give it to Abuja. Right from day one, Abuja has a regulations that is banded like a book. Once you take your plan to the office, you submit your plan, you pay 1,000, those good old days. They sell, you are forced to. You know, it's not an option. They don't give you an option. They sell you their regulation. And therefore, you have access to the regulation. That this is what I can do, this is what I cannot do. And therefore, and most people are law abiding. I think that's where we miss it. And so, if you know yourself have contravened the law, you will know. And it's so easy to discuss it. I said, my friend, you open his regulation, you open yours, and you are. But you see, deliberately, a lot of these states have no regulation. They have. They refuse to put it together as one book like this that they can sell to you, that they can give to the members of the public. That is harakiri in Nigeria. You give information to the public. So that's where the problem with planning permit too, because the planners themselves don't want you to have information.
So would we let it continue this way?
That's why I said I'm ready to be a specialist in court, free of any cost. Even if I have to travel to Abuja or any location where they want to have the case, I will use my own money to travel there. I will use my own money to house myself. I will come as a specialist consultant in court.
Okay, sir, with your experience, how can members of the public be involved in planning projects?
Honestly, I don't want to thank you all for what you are doing. It's information. They can't go back, you can't organize a school where you are going to go and teach them. It is through this media that we can reach them. And that's why I appreciate what you do. I really appreciate that. I'm very supportive of it. And if there's a way, either in terms of connection, in terms of anything that you want me to assist, I will be ready. They know me in this country. So, you know, I don't know, except I want to carry placards. But I would rather go to court rather than carry placards and allow somebody who is uneducated to come and shoot me, who has never invested anything in his life, to come and say, because we are carrying placards, he comes to shoot me. I won't do that. So I would rather go to court. I know it's long, I know it's expensive, but I would rather do that. I have the option, but these days I'm too old to start carrying placards all over the place.
Why do you think planning permits is necessary? A lot of
Good. That's a good question. I like it. You see, because we have not made the public understand that getting planning permit is in their interest. So they think you are harassing them, that you are asking them to do it because the government wants money. No. Let me explain to the average person on the streets. When your house does not have a planning permit, if it is a sensible country, nobody will take it from you for security, for taking loans. But because it's a stupid country, the banks don't insist you have a planning approval. And I think I did a lot of going around professional bodies. When I was the president of Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, trying to sensitize. I went to, because fortunately, Institute of Bankers is a member of Association of Professional Bodies. I went to them. I said, you people, you don't know that when a building has no planning permit, it has a zero value. Because if for any reason government demolishes it, government will not pay compensation because it's an illegal structure. I said, so why don't you go to your bankers committee and let the bankers committee understand that when the building has no approval, the value is zero. It's an illegal structure. I said, so that's why you can't borrow with a building that has no approval. 2, and that's why the whole thing is messed up. The value, when you say go and do me evaluation of a building, I went to the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors, I told them the value of that building is zero. You see, if the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers have enforced that, people will have understood better. But unfortunately, the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers will go ahead and value, and those people will now carry the valuation done by the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors to the bank, and the bank will take it. And that is where, as far as I'm concerned, the fault is in the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. I don't know where the land estate surveying, where they think when the building has no planning permit, it has a value. I don't know where they land it. Unfortunately for them, I was in the estate surveying profession for 2 years with Onokame and partners, and they know. So, if today the Nigerian Association of Estate Surveyors now get their axis right, they now say, before you can value any property, you must have a planning permit. You will see the changes it will make. Because a lot of the big people, they don't bother because they know somebody will do evaluation for them.
But sir, did you think people would be interested in obtaining a planning permit, considering how difficult it can be?
No. When you see the value to yourself, you will do it. Now, okay, I've not finished. I just told you only two. The banker's perspective of it, the estate surveyor's part of it. You too as an individual, you can see a lot of new construction going on. The cities keep on changing and changing. If you don't have a planning permit, nobody's going to pay you any compensation, no, because your building is an illegal structure. So if they now understand that way, that all these things that I'm building, once I don't have a planning permit, even if tomorrow morning a road is passing through, they will not give me one kobo. They won't get a planning permit, you know. So we just have to let the individual understand that getting a planning permit, you are not doing me a favor. You are not doing government a favor. You are doing yourself a favor. I think this is one area I want us to explain properly to the public, that they are doing themselves a favor. Okay. Now, you have now come to the issue of difficulty of getting that permit. Let me give it to Lagos State. That is, they're making progress. Because I will not be a balanced person if I just criticize, and they know me. I don't do that. When somebody is doing well, I say it. If it's not doing well, I tell you to your face. You see, the problem of delay in planning permit are multidimensional. There are times it is the fault of the person that wants the permit. And why did I say that? The regulations is clear. They will disobey the regulations and want you to approve. Because it doesn't work that way. If you want to come to equity, you come with clear hands. So there are times it is the fault of the client itself. There are times it's the fault of their consultants. How do you say that? If you say you're a consultant and your client disobeys your instruction and you are still in that job and you are still claiming you're a consultant, you're a stupid person because your client has become the consultant. And so, if you employ my services as a consultant, once I give you an instruction that this is what the law says and you disobey, I walk out of your job. They may say because I'm comfortable. That's nonsense. They should know me right from the onset. You see, because the moment your client now start giving himself instruction, then you stop being his consultant. Okay, so there are times it's the consultant's fault. Even there are occasions when the consultants consciously encourage them to disobey. Not necessarily planning consultant. I know a lot of architects, they will give you a drawing for approval. They will say, this is the drawing we are going to use to construct on site. What are you talking about? You are encouraging your client to disobey. Okay, then there are times, most of the times, is the fault of government people. It is very unfortunate. The town planner in government has been wired negatively. It's a very unfortunate thing. And until their wiring is carefully removed and reorganized. And what do I mean by they have been wired negatively? When you go to a town planning office and you sit in front of a town planning officer, the first thing he wants to see is why I cannot approve this thing. That's the negative wiring they have. They cannot, they don't see, how can I help this old man to get this approval? Are there little things he can change here and there? No, they're not wired that way. They're wired to see why this thing cannot go. Okay. Now, even after they look and can't find the fault, they can find that there's an S. All they are looking for is fault. They've been wired to look for fault, rather than wired to help and encourage people to get planning permit, they are wired for finding faults, because it is when they find faults that you can also beg them and every other thing that goes with begging them. You know, it's all. That is, I'm saying it openly and I'm saying it on television, that the town planners in government are wired negatively. They have negative thoughts. The moment a person comes to them, they look at how would this thing not pass, rather than rather see a positive thing. Okay, let us see how can we help this man. Maybe if he arranges this way, and guide that person to be able to get the planning permit. So we are not going anywhere, because these Nigerians, they are wired negatively.
And that's a big problem.
It's a very serious problem. In actual fact, most Nigerians are wired negatively, not only town planners.
Okay.
When the policeman comes, ask those people, what do you call them, the traffic junction and things like that. They look at you, they want you to make a mistake. Even some of them, rather than pass traffic, they're looking at the traffic lights to see who cuts it, rather than help you to trap on. Then you stop at them, you want to ask for a road. I want to go to this one. They don't even know the area. Doctors are giving you a direction. So Nigerians are wired negatively. And that has come clear in town planning offices, and it's a very sad one.
Thank you so much for watching. That was an insightful session with town planner Dr. Olubunmi Àjàyí. I trust that you have learned a lot, because I have as well. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Cable Plus Property. Also, do like our Facebook page at Cable Plus Property. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share with your friends and colleagues. My name is Oiza, and this is Cable Plus Property.